Hey, I'm back from the flying field, and I just got done doing the maiden flight on this brand new E-flite Habu STS 70 millimeter EDF trainer jet. And I have to say, I am totally blown away with how this flies. I don't have a huge amount of EDF experience. I got the little F-16 and the UMX A-10, and a lot of the guys I fly with EDFs, and I kind of know that you need a lot of speed, you need a lot of momentum, you got to be really on top of your game to fly an EDF. This is not that type of an EDF. I flew it kind of as I would if it was a trainer. I started off, in fact, this is the RTF model, so I actually used the Spektrum DXS that comes with the Ready to Fly kit. I did not use my DX6, trying to replicate exactly how a new student pilot would be flying the RTF version. So plane out of the box, 3S battery, flying on a 4000 that came with it. This is the 3S, of course. The DXS transmitter. I tried it in beginner mode with low rates right from the beginning, just to get the thing in the air. And I tell you, that takeoff was so smooth. It was incredible. The plane took off in about half the distance that I thought it would. In fact, I walked it way down the end of the runway there, and it was in the air far sooner than I expected. I kind of was judging based on my 64 millimeter F-16, which is just a little guy compared to this Habu. And my F-16 takes quite a bit of real estate to get into the air. This had no trouble at all. Full throttle, rolled in the grass just fine, no issues at all. Popped right up into the air, did a beautiful climb out. Did a couple laps in safe beginner mode. And then I switched over to intermediate mode, and then eventually into experience mode, and then went into the high rates as well. And I have to say, it's incredibly stable, really in all three modes. Beginner mode, just to let you know, you are going to need a little bit wider of a turning radius than you may think, because the bank angle is limited. So you're not going to really be able to pitch that thing up on its side and do a real tight turn. So just be aware of that on your maiden flight. If you're going to do it in beginner mode, or if you're a new student pilot learning, make sure you got a big enough area to work with, because the aircraft is fairly quick. It's not, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's too fast for a beginner by any means, but it's quick, and it takes a while to turn in beginner mode. So make sure you just got yourself plenty of room. I had no trouble, of course. We have a huge flying area, so there's no issues at all. Intermediate mode, of course, you go a little bit smaller of an area, as you can kind of bank more and do a little bit more with the aircraft. In experience mode, this thing is actually a ton of fun. I was shocked for a trainer plane, this thing is a lot of fun. I'm not I don't have a huge amount of experience flying, especially with EDFs, but I do have to say I had no trouble at all doing aileron rolls, doing loops, doing just a little bit of aerobatics with it. The plane has no bad tendencies at all. Totally stable in all three modes. Totally easy to fly. I throttle the thing back to, probably 50 to 40% power. And normally for an EDF, you'd be getting really nervous with pulling the power back that far, especially on a 3S with an airplane of this size. Zero issues at all. It is just incredibly stable. Landings were very uneventful. The only thing is that it glides a heck of a lot more than I was expecting. I was kind of thinking back to my F-16 and kind of where I want to make my approach at, and how I want to bleed off airspeed, and how I want to come in for a landing. And I overshot my landing area by quite a bit, because the aircraft floats so much more. In fact, one of my approaches, I chopped the power at the end of the runway, and it basically floated on by with no power on for almost our entire length of our club field before it finally set down. So very impressive for an EDF to fly with at that low of a speed. So just be aware that you actually got to plan ahead a little bit for that it will glide a lot more than I was expecting. Like I said, I'm comparing this to like my EDF A-10, my UMX A-10, and my 64 millimeter F-16, which fly completely different than this. This is a way more forgiving F6 or EDF. So would I recommend this aircraft for a beginner? Absolutely. It's totally cool in the air. It actually drew a little crowd. We had a couple club members coming out to watch this thing because it looked so cool in the air. None of them could believe that this was actually a trainer plane that we were flying. We're going to obviously be using this for the RC flight school with a brand new student pilot. So we're going to see exactly how well a new student can learn with it. But I did not see anything with my flight that would cause any concern for a new beginner pilot. So let's say, what if you're an intermediate or more of an experienced pilot? I definitely think this could be a lot of fun for you. The reason is because it's unusual to find an EDF that's really this easy and kind of this relaxing to fly. I had no trouble at all in experience mode, doing real nice scale pattern, then doing some rolls and doing some loops, having some real fun with it, some low passes. The plane doesn't really have any bad tendencies, so you can relax when you fly it. It's not an EDF that scares you in experience mode. You just need to be flying the airplane and having a good time, and this plane will reward you with exactly that. So it's definitely one that works on a pretty broad spectrum. A lot of trainers, you say, okay, I've been flying this for a while, it's kind of boring, I want to go on to something else. I don't see that here with the Habu. I didn't fly it on 4S, but even on 3S, I can tell you that in experience mode, this plane is a ton of fun. It is enjoyable. It's not scary like I expect an EDF to be at all. It was very, very cool in the air. Fairly easy to see too. Skies were partly cloudy during the flight. No issues at all with visibility. It was fantastic in slow speed, fantastic in high speed. Just needed a few clicks of elevator trim and experience mode, and pretty much 50% throttle, hands off the sticks. It will, in experience mode, it will fly perfectly straight, and no issues whatsoever. I did not have the landing sensor installed on this. I'm still waiting for it to arrive, so I really can't talk to how that worked yet. But I'll tell you what, the landings I had, I brought a couple packs with me to fly them through. There wasn't a bad landing among them in any mode that I tried. So it's a great aircraft. Really excited to spend some more time with this, but I'm even more excited to get our student pilot flying this thing. Even the Horizon instructor took it out for a couple flights just to kind of get used to it as well. Also, same thing, very impressed with the aircraft. So it's going to be fun to watch our student progress with this airplane. But if you're on the fence about what kind of a trainer should I buy, I'm new to RC, I'm looking for something to get into, by all means, take a look at this Habu. It is way more fun as a trainer than I ever imagined. And it's also in Real Flight 9.5, and they have a couple versions of it in there. They have a 3S, 4S, and one with the landing sensor installed. It flies very similar to Real Flight. The only thing I noticed is I think it flies a little bit faster in person than it appears in the simulator. But that's a really tough thing to kind of tell speed when you're watching it on a computer screen or a TV screen versus actually watching it in person. As for flight times, I would recommend like if you have a cell phone, set your timer for like 5 minutes. This doesn't have the ability to have a timer on it. It has these little LEDs. Which the LEDs work fantastic, but you got to take your eyes off the airplane to try to count how many LEDs there are. So it's just easier to do what I used to do when I was learning to fly and didn't have a programmable radio. I would just take my cell phone, set the alarm for 5 minutes. That's what I recommend for this. Put that in your pocket, and when your phone starts buzzing, come in and bring it in for a landing. On all the packs I ran, we had a little bit different varying flight characteristics. If you were to fly this in pure beginner mode, 40 to 50% throttle range, you're just flying a racetrack pattern, you could stretch that out probably to 6 to 7 minutes. If you are in experience mode and you're going to be doing a lot of rolls and loops and high-speed passes and really kind of having a great time ringing the airplane out, I would put a 5-minute timer on that. I think you'd be set. So for a new pilot starting out, I would tell you to set your clock for 5 minutes, and then just check your battery to see where you're at when you land. That way you also got a little extra in the tank too. If you come in for a landing, your alarm's gone off, you're at 5 minutes, and you don't like how your landing is setting up and need to go back around again for a second pass, you got plenty of juice left in it. This will beep at you if you get really low on battery, But the best thing to do is land before you even have to worry about getting to that point. So set your clock for 5 minutes, go out and enjoy the airplane, learn with it. It's a lot of fun. I am really, really impressed. To fly an EDF that goes this well and it's suitable for as a trainer plane is very impressive. Horizon did a fantastic job with a Habu STS, and if you're on the fence on what kind of trainer to get, normally I'd always tell you apprentice, and then not say the apprentice is not an awesome airplane. I had it, I learned on it. It's the whole reason I got into the hobby and progressed in it was from the apprentice. But if this was available, I would totally have this just because it's so much fun to fly, and you can continue to grow with it as well. You can put a 4S battery in this thing when you get really good at it, and you can start doing some high-speed passes. You can take the landing gear off of it, hand launch it, belly land it in the grass. It's a very versatile airplane. It's a lot of fun for an airplane, and it's a great way to get into the hobby with a plane that's developed to be a trainer that you could take this thing all the way into be an experienced pilot and still have fun. So if you guys got any questions at all on the Habu STS, by all means leave them in your comments below, and make sure you subscribe because the RC Flight School is going to be kicking off here shortly, and it will be featuring, of course, learning how to fly using this Habu jet right here. So talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.